Well, it's Tuesday, and you all know what that means. That means, as you know, we have Baka Gaijin and Friends with Volume 14. We have some very interesting matches. I think some of these matches are a bit of a wacky, kooky thing you probably are going to enjoy. And then we move on with Pro Wrestling Noah with, of course, Star Navigation. This one features, of course, the debut of a brand new faction known as All Rebellion featuring Keno, Keito Kiyomiya, Alejandro, and Cristobal. So there's going to be a lot of good matches in this one as well. And then, of course, we move on with Best of the Super Juniors by New Japan Pro Wrestling. We are now in day 7. And I believe we are doing, of course, the A block matches. So we're just going to focus on that. And then finally, we have NXT. As you know, we continue with more of the women's North American title qualifier matches. So we have 2 matches taking place. We do have the NXT title match taking place, and of course, the final showdown between Natalia and Carmen Petrovic taking on Shayna Baszler and Lola Vice. And then we cap up our episode with some news updates to give you guys updates what's been going on in the world of pro wrestling, such as what events are happening, who's booked, what matches are set, and of course developments that are happening in the world of pro wrestling, such as who's signed, who's leaving, injuries, the whole enchilada. So, let's get ready for another episode of the Deleted Wrestle Zone.
Are you ready? Get up, get up! 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 Get up, get up!
Welcome everybody to the Deleted Wrestle Zone, all things that is pro wrestling with AEW, NXT, New Japan Pro Wrestling, TNA, the National Wrestling Alliance, various promotions, wrestlers, matches, and championships. I am your host, J-Rod here. So, if you are new to the channel, welcome. This is a channel where we do a lot of pro wrestling reviews from various promotions, not only here in the United States, but also in Japan, Mexico, Canada, Europe, the UK, anywhere in the world where pro wrestling is not as big, but it continues to grow. We also do discussion videos, talk about various topics such as the wrestlers themselves, the promotions, factions, storylines, whatever we want to talk about. We also do more news updates. If I'm unable to put it on this episode, I can put it on a separate video by itself. We also do real-timing news updates to keep you guys on alert if something has happened in the world of pro wrestling that needs to be addressed. We also do the Nagi Sayaka Watch and various other cool things as well. So if you like what you see, please subscribe to us. So click on that subscribe button. You'll be getting a lot of daily reviews and other cool wrestling content as well. But if you like this episode, please give us a like on the like button or a nice comment in the description down below. Now, all introductions have set aside. All of our reviews are done on a Tuesday, even if it's in Japan. So that's where we're starting, folks, because as you know, they are ahead of us. So we're going to begin with Baka Gaijin and Friends. Okay, Baka Gaijin and Friends Volume 14. Now, it opened up with Chris Brooks taking on the Invisible Man. Now, I know what you guys are thinking. It's just a guy just coming out. No, guys. He really is invisible. You can't see him at all. I saw this guy of course, in GCW. They had to use special glasses in order to see him. Well, in Japan, they use some sort of special drink in order to see him, which they could, even though the ones who drank it was in fact the ref, Chris, and Mr. Haku, who was the cameraman / commentator. Well, they were able to see him. I thought this match was pretty fun and exciting because, I mean, you probably think there's no way anybody could pull this crap up. I'm like, yes, they can. So it kind of happened. However, when Chris Brooks was realizing that he was No match for the Invisible Man. He tried to call Masahiro Takanashi, who was later on preparing for his match, but he was unable to do so. So he called out Sayaka, who's been helping out with the events all the time. However, things did not go according to plan. Sayaka got pissed. So basically, nothing worked. However, they kept going and going. And then, of course, the Invincible Man applied a Frankensteiner, picking up the win. However, during the post match comments, Chris Brooks wanted to invite the Invincible Man as part of the regular member of the Baka Gaijin and Friends shows. However, Sayaka was not having it because she's been pissed off that she's been dying for an opportunity to be part of the show because even though she doesn't wrestle in Baka Gaijin, we normally see her in Choco Pro. She feel or Gatomo. She feels there's no representation in the show. So basically, she reminded him she's always there helping out. So he's like, so Chris like, sorry guy, sorry Invisible Man, no bookings for you. So that's how it ended. Now, speaking of Chris Brooks, as you know, I mentioned his tag partner, Masahiro Takanashi. Well, he faces against Ram Kaicho. Now, of course, Ram Kaicho always have tricks up her sleeve. But, of course, Masa has tricks up his sleeve. Don't forget, he's a very, very, very slick wrestler. A very clever one. But, however, none of his cleverness worked because apparently he got help from, of course, Chris Brooks. And apparently, Ram Kaicho did not pick up the win thanks to that. But Ram did get the last laugh. Basically, she took out both idiots as a measure of revenge. So I thought it was a lot of fun. Now, those who know this, I did review the much recent Tokyo Pro Wrestling show. One of the opponents that was in wrestlers that was involved in that show in the recent event that I reviewed was Alexis Lee from Singapore. She was actually in attendance. So Mr. Haku was doing a little interview with her, asking her how things have been with her coming to Japan and all this and that. She even teased about the possibility of a Singapore Pro Wrestling ex Tokyo Pro Wrestling, Tokyo Pro Wrestling. I mean, it's very exciting to hear. So there's been teasing about that. So I have to say, Mr. Haku, not only he is a great camera guy and a commentator, but he knows how to get someone to spill out a little tease for us. So I'll give him credit for that. Now, our next match, we have a bit of a showdown between two robots. We have Sanjirobo Tagagi and his creator versus Mecha Mao and, of course, his creator with Mad Dr. Yuiki. So you probably would think, okay, what do these robots are going to do? Simple. They had tricks up their sleeves. They have machinery. But, however, they were invaded by some robot from the future. Dun 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 dun. Dun 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 dun. Yeah. I don't know who this guy is, but things did not go according to plan because Mecha Mao picked up the win, but this robot showed up and started causing the problem. So what, of course, the robots and the creators did, they set up their little self-destruct devices, thinking this robot from the future will be taken out, but it was not enough. So now we're going to be invaded by robots from the future. I know, sounds kind of wacky. You should check it out on YouTube. So anyway, let's move on to our last and final match. We have Antonio Honda versus Mr. Bueno. Yeah, I never heard of Mr. Bueno, but the guy has a great, unique wrestling gear. He looks more like something you see out of a mariachi. I'm not going to lie. But however, of course, there's certain moments, Honda, he'll be using his tricks and his comedic routine in order to help. You would think that Mr. Bueno was going to fall for it. Well, he almost did, but it did not do any well for him. And of course, the moment was we did see the referee going down, but it did not do any good for Honda because he ended up being on the wrong side of the Bueno splash. And just like that, Mr. Bueno won the match. Just like that. So, I thought it was a real fun match. I mean, I did like the Invisible Man being there. So, we'll see what happens in the next Baka Gaijin and Friends. So, I think we are pretty much it right now with this one. I believe it's time to move on with Pro Wrestling Noah. Okay, Pro Wrestling Noah with Star Navigation 2024. This one was in Korakuen Hall. Now, our opening match, we have tag action. We have Yu Owada and Junta Miyawaki taking on, what's their names? Oh yeah, Masa Kitamiya and Daiki Inaba. Now, you would think that this is going to be a very interesting matchup. Well, I kind of knew that this was going to end with Kitamiya and Inaba picking up the win for several reasons. Now, Owada is still a rookie in every way. He is still learning a lot from various wrestlers, and of course, Junta Miyawaki is recently, after no longer associating himself with Shuji Kondo, uh, that's played out as a factor. But however, Masa and Daiki Naba have been a dominant team a lot longer than these two have. So that kind of was the factor that played out for me. So it was Inaba who picked up the win by pinning Owada, and just like that, it was over. Now, our next match, we have a very interesting one. These two guys used to be in a tag team and then a faction. We're talking about Shuhei Taniguchi and Mohamed Yona. Now, these two guys go way back when they used to be Funky. If you guys remember, they started this thing called the Funky Express. And then, of course, Taniguchi left all of a sudden, and then he sided with Hideki Suzuki alongside with Saxon Huxley and Timothy Thatcher to form Real. Now, this was a very interesting matchup because these two guys know each other too well. But, however, people can change, and I'm referring to Taniguchi. Taniguchi seems like he was getting on his path that he was aiming for. Now, you would think that the path in this match was about him beating Mohamed Yonah. Well, you were right. That's exactly what happened. He applied the half and half on him, and just like that, he picked up a win over him. Now, our next match, we have Titus Alexander and Starboard Charlie taking on members of GLG. We're talking about Tadasuke and Anthony Green. Now, what's interesting is these two gentlemen, both Green and Tadasuke, they're tag champions in their own respected weight division. Tadasuke is a junior heavyweight, while Anthony Green is a heavyweight. So you would think that this is a very interesting matchup. But however, many of you probably thought, well, GLG has this one in the map. No, because I think they were building up Starboy Charlie. I think people had no idea who he was, but people who are starting to get to know him, they probably are fascinated by him because of his size. Not to mention, he in fact he is gunning for the GHC Junior Heavyweight title, and that's his goal right there. But he was able to pick up the win by doing the shooting star press on Tadasuke to pick up the win. However, because of this win, he could cash in an opportunity for the GHC Junior Heavyweight Tag Team titles if he wanted to. But as I said before, his goal is the GHC Junior Heavyweight title being held by Daga. Now, our next match, we have Team Noah, consisting of Atsushi Kotoge and Go Shiozaki, taking on Akitoshi Saito, who is also a member of Team Noah. And he teams with Kazuyuki Fujita. Now, the reason that Saito is not in this match with him, like why they're on the opposite diagonally from each other. Well, Shiozaki and Saito are trying to finish their story in some way. So basically, they go way back all the way from the time of Misawa. So it's like finish the damn story. You would think that's what's gonna be. Now, when I take a look at this match, I look at the factors. But you got two of the strongest heavyweights in one team, which is Saito and Fujita. While you look at Team Noah, you got Kotoge, who is in the border between junior heavyweight and heavyweight, and of course Go Shiozaki, a multi-time Of course, tag champion, um, heavyweight champion, and whatnot. So that kind of throws it out. However, it was Go Shiozaki who picked the win when he applied a big lariat onto Saito, and just like that, it was over. Now, our next match, this one was a very unusual one for me. Not because of the wrestlers, it's more of how it ended, because normally this faction is the most dominant one. Uh, First, we have the team. We have Naomichi Marufuji, Takeshi Sugiura, and Masaaki Mochizuki. Now, if you guys know who Mochizuki is, he is from Dragon Gate. Now, it's no secret that he has participated in many events with Pro Wrestling Noah, so that's always been obvious. But however, their opponents are members of GLG, LJ Clearing, who made his return, um, Jack Morris, and of course, Jake Lee. Now, GLG has been one of the most dominating factions throughout the entirety of Noah since they were formed. However, you would think that they had that they would have the advantage of it, but not this time, because it was Mochizuki who put away LG Clearing with a twisted brainbuster, and just like that, it was win. I don't know what's going on in that match, because I would have assumed that since GLG are the most dominant faction, it would have been much simpler, but no, not this time. Now, our next match, we have Hiroki versus Yohei. Now, don't forget, these two guys lost their singles competition the day on the 18th. So now they're facing off each other. Of course, these guys know each other all too well from the very specific. But however, this is more of a prelude before we head to the GHC Junior Heavyweight Tag Team title match. But that's what is going on. But Yohei was the one who picked up the win. I mean, Hiroki looked more like he was ready to pick up the win, but it was Yohei who won by applying an incredible dropkick, and just like that, it was over. Now, next up, we have All Rebellion, consistent of Alejandro, Cristobal, Keno, and Keito Kiyomiya teaming up. And it's interesting that Keno has dropped the blue and red color, now going with all silver or chrome, however you want to call it. They face against Rohei Oiwa, Okazazaki, Shuji Kondo, and Eita. So, pretty interesting combination. However, of course, Oiwa, basically, he was on the learning curve of Keito Kiyomiya. It seems like he had some unfinished business with him, so you would think that. But however, that wasn't the case, because it was Oiwa who picked up the win onto Cristobal by applying a gut wrench power bomb, and just like that, it was over. However, during the post match, Kano and Kiyomiya came with the conclusion they would like Oiwa to be part of All Rebellion, but however, he turned down and then attacked both of them. And then he said he's not done with Oiwa, that he'll be coming after him, and the GHC heavyweight title that was stolen by that creep Gabe Kidd. However, as soon as this match as soon as this assault was happened, all of a sudden GLG shows up, and they even extended their hand to Oiwa. Well, he just passed right through them, bumped in Jake Lee's shoulders like, I don't give a damn about you guys. But however, Jake Lee decides to go out, and criticize Kiyomiya, like saying, hey, you had your belt stolen from you by Gabe Kidd. When are you going to get it back? I feel like Jake Lee thinks that he is speaking on behalf of Noah. But I've always seen Keno and Kiyomiya, who've always been true to themselves about Noah all the time, even though they were opposites of each other on various occasions. But however, as you know, Jake Lee has a bit of a relationship with Bullet Club. They decided to put themselves in a match. Jake Lee and Gabe Kidd versus Keno, and of course Keito Kiyomiya. Now we know that Gabe Kidd has unfinished business with him before because of last year's G1, and I don't know how Keno is going to deal with this one. However, as soon as this happened, Kiyomiya was talking, and Keno was questioning Jake Lee. Who is he to question Keito Kiyomiya, because their plan is to change the game of Noah, change it for the better of the future. So I think that tells us a story that Jake Lee has no right to criticize Kiyomiya because, yes, Gabe Kidd stole the belt, but that wasn't intentionally. Gabe Kidd is a little nuts. That's what's going on. So we'll see what happens down the line. We do know they do have another event the following day, but I'm not sure if I'll be able to see it. But if I do, well, I'll I'll exactly watch it for all of you. Now after that, I think that's pretty much it right now with Noah. So I think it's time for New Japan Pro Wrestling. Okay, New Japan Pro Wrestling. We continue with day 7 of the Best of the Super Juniors. So we're only going to focus on A block matches only. Our first match, we have Kosa Fujita versus TJP. Now remember, last time, TJP, in the other hand, he was on the verge of being eliminated out of the tournament since he was winless from the very beginning. And I think that sets it up right there. But, however, he was able to pick up his win, but now he has to go against Kosa Fujita, someone who is been on a learning curve with Zack Sabre Jr. People see the potential in him, but they don't see him as the guy who could, how do I say, could go all the way. But he has to go against a guy who was one of the OGs of the LA Dojo, as you probably know that too well. But, however, it was a pretty impressive match. However, TJP picked up his second win when he applied a Pinot stretch onto Kosa Fujita, giving him his 2 wins. So he is currently, of course, um, with just 2 wins so far. But I don't know if he'll be able to catch up, because that's been one of the things that kind of how do I say this? We don't know if it's possible. Hold on, let me see the records real quick. Normally I find the results online for this one. So, here we go. Never mind. Got the wrong one. No, never mind. Anyway, so basically, let's just skip it for now. Our next match, we have Bushi versus Clark Connors. Of course, Clark Connors, he is an aggressive wrestler, but you probably would think, in a way, Bushi would try to figure out a way around that, but however, that wasn't the case. Clark Connors applied the no chaser on him, and it was over. However, during the post match, he intended to take off Bushi's mask. He did that already with Titan. So basically, he is trying to, of course, prove that, he's like a hunter in some ways. But sooner or later, the hunter will become the hunted. But currently, Bushi has 4 points with just 2 wins. And as for Clark Connors, he only has 8 points. He's right now moving up the lead with 4 wins. Next up, we have Hayata versus Blake Christian. Now, I think this is a very important match because Blake Christian, as you know, he was undefeated until he lost to El Desperado. The real question we ask ourselves, how will Blake Christian actually, how do I say this, bounce back from a big loss like this? And I'm sure he was thinking the same thing too. But of course, you have to think, okay, he has to get through Hayata. Now, Hayata, one of the most well-decorated junior heavyweight competitors in all of Japan, you would think that Christian would try to figure out a way around him too. However, Hayata, he can play both, two sides in the same coin when it comes to him. I mean, he knows he's good, but there are times he will probably have to cut corners to do so. And he didn't do that in this particular match because he actually applied a crucifix crossface onto Blake Christian, giving him his second loss so far. So right now he is stuck with 8 points with just 4 wins and 2 losses. Oh, now I got the math on that one right. So anyway, our next match, Kevin Knight versus Titan. Now, of course, Titan, he probably has to bounce back after losing the last few matches. I believe the last 2 matches that he had. And Kevin Knight, as you know, he hopefully he is doing well. However, Titan has to be more careful with him, knowing that he has strong ass legs that would get him the high fly and all that. But luckily, that did not put an effect to him because he applied the Llave Immortal, and it was over from there. Now, our next match. Well, hold on. Titan currently is with 8 points, as for Kevin Knight, 6 points. Now, our main event, we have Yoshinobu Kanemaru and El Desperado. These two guys are no strangers with each other. If you guys been following New Japan Pro Wrestling, then you guys know what I'm talking about. Those who are new to New Japan, let me explain to you guys what this is about. Both Kanemaru and El Desperado were tag team partners for the junior heavyweight tag team titles when they were running with Minoru Suzuki, a part of Suzuki-gun. Now, as you know, the faction disbanded by order from a decision by the de facto leader himself and Murder Grandpa Minoru Suzuki. So, as you know, Kanemaru, on the other hand, he rolled with just 5 guys, then he turned Benedict Arnold and sided with those pieces of garbage's House of Torture. As El Desperado, well, he's currently in no faction, but recently he's been teaming with various wrestlers over time. I mean, we did see him team up with Master Wato, and then he had nice conversations with Tomohiro Ishii. Basically, he's been all over. He was in a group with Minoru Suzuki again, but that one was disbanded. But you would think that this match was going to be brutal. Of course it was. Of course, Kanemaru was going to use tactics without the help of the other members of the House of Losers. And of course, Ref was going to get out, but it didn't do any well for Kanemaru because it took a Pinchy Loco onto Kanemaru to put him away. Despy picking up his next win with 8 points. So that means he's currently 4-2. And as for Kanemaru, he has 2-4. Hope my math is right. But yes. So that's how it ends right there. But however, currently we have 4 wrestlers tied with 8 points. Clark Connors, Hayata, Titan, and now Despy. So we probably will see someone has to move up ahead. So we'll see what happens until then. But on a record, there hasn't been a time limit draw since the tournament, which is amazing. But I don't want to jinx it. I have that distinct feeling it could happen. But we'll just wait and see. So I think we are done with New Japan. So let's move on with NXT. Okay, NXT. We opened up with the NXT Women's North American Title Qualifier match. We have Thea Hale and Fallon Henley. Now, these two ladies, as you know, they used to roll with each other until Fallon decided, she had enough of Thea Hale and thinking she did the right thing. However, TL, who is always trying to make great friends, this happens to her. Now, you would think this would have played smoothly, but Fallon Henley decided to play dirty by bringing out a chair and then, of course, causing for Chase U to be interjected. But however, Fallon Henley tried new ways in order to pick up a win, which she did when she applied the Shining Wizard on her, and it was over. However, because of the win, things got a little decisive for Tay Melo. She was viciously attacked by Jazz and Nyx, who wants revenge for what Tay Melo did to Daisy Jane, breaking her nose. We did see Jazz and Jasmine talk to Fallon, saying she got her payback, but don't think for Talisari second that Tay Melo's gonna forget that. I'm sure Tay Melo's gonna tell her that she's gonna put her right next to Daisy Jane. Now, earlier in the day, we did see the D'Angelo family walking away with the new Heritage Cup. And then, of course, they were looking at the champions who held the belt, the title. And there was one name they once again brought in, A-Kid. And that pretty much, you probably know what that means. But anyway, so basically, they decided, they bump into, of course, Frazier and Axiom. They're saying they're going to put the titles on the line against only wrestlers from NXT. So basically, Luca kind of put himself and Stacks their names on the hat. So of course, D'Angelo tells them, "You guys are not going to not give them these opportunities, would you?" They looked at each other like they're not going to duck them. So they decided, "How about this? We'll give you guys your title matches tonight." So it was like, "Oh, okay, that's fine." So basically, I feel like right now Nathan Frazier and Axiom are confident enough they could walk out as tag champions, but we'll see. Now, that leads us to that match, the NXT tag team titles. So Stacks could become 3-time tag champion, but this time with Luca Crucifino. You would think things would have played out smoothly for the D'Angelo family. However, don't forget for a solitary second that the family had made enemies left, right, up, side, down, side to side. Well, one of those enemies is none other than No Quarter Catch Crew. That's right. Don't forget, Tony D'Angelo won the Heritage Cup from Charlie Dempsey when they made No Quarter Catch Crew be humiliated for the last time. But because of this distraction that happened outside the ring, Stacks and Luca Crucifino did not win the matches, but of course they have to protect the Don. So it became a full-blown brawl between the family and No Quarter Catch Crew. However, while Frazier and Axiom celebrated over the victory after, of course, what's his name? They picked up the win on Stacks. They were attacked by the OCs out of nowhere. Now, we know that the OCs have been demanding this match between them. They're saying they've been ducking them. But the problem that, of course, the reasons that they've been ducking them, they felt like, hey, you guys are no longer part of NXT. Why you guys are here? So it's kind of like that whole story. But, of course, they said they never held these belts. But yes, possibly we've seen that with Natalya, who said she has never held the NXT women's belt. Now, Mr. Stone, as you know, we haven't seen him for quite some time, was in talks with Layla Diggs until that big a-hole showed up. Lexus King started his little trying to tell him all this and that. He thinks that, he knows what he's talking about. But Avery Reigns decided, because he keeps bothering people, that he'll put him in a match with an unknown opponent. So we don't know who that was going to be. But yes. Now, of the results of what happened last week with Gallus attacking Ivar, Wesley, and Josh Briggs, Ivar was completely injured. Now, he was supposed to be involved in a three-way number one contendership for the North American title. However, Ivar was like that. Ava Reigns was not happy with the results of what Gallus did, but Joe Coffey says, "I don't answer to you." But Ava's like, "Well, you do, and you're not walking away from it." So she decided to put him in the number one contendership in that, and that's exactly what happened. So basically, there was a three-way match, but before that match even started, our current North American champion Oba Femi made his way. Now, I'm sure he is scouting who will be his potential opponent at, of course, Battleground. So that was possibly the one thing. Now, Wesley, we can argue that he is the guy who tried to make a name for himself and put the North American title on the map. Josh Briggs, he is a guy who is making headways for himself as well. Joe Coffey, well, what can I say? The guy does whatever he wants, however he wants. But however, there was a big confusion that took place at the end of this match. Um, Apparently, you saw that they took out Josh Briggs. Then, of course, Wesley was taken out, but he was on top of the legs of Josh Briggs, and that allowed for Joe Coffey to pin Josh Briggs as well. But the referee decided to tell that this was a double pinfall. So that's like, what the hell? So that means there's going to be a three-way. But Ava Reigns, as the general manager, decided to look into the video and decided to decide what if it's 100% accurate. So Obafemi went to talk to her and ask her, well, what's the verdict? So she realized that, the referee was right. So basically, this is, of course, so there's going to be a three-way for the match. So I'm sure Obafemi was not happy with the idea, but there's nothing that can be done. So we'll see. Now, we did see, of course, an interview with Carmen Petrovic and Natalia getting ready for their main event against Lola Vice and Shayna Baszler. So they're ready for that, so we'll see what happens. Now, once again, as you know, Edris Enofe going out with the bad luck syndrome. Malik Blade tried to cheer him up. Same thing with Brindley. But Enofe is still going with that whole bad luck thing. I don't blame him, but yeah. Now, our next match, we have the NXT North American title qualifier match, Brindley Reese versus Jada Parker. Now, things would have gone smoothly for Brindley, but I don't know if Edris Enofe thought maybe his bad luck being near the ring might have caused it. It kind of did, because Jada Parker, give her the hip attack. But I don't know. I feel like Edris was like, I don't know. I don't feel comfortable being around because after what happened. But yes. Now, our next match, well, Lexis King, as you know, he has to face against a mysterious opponent. He goes out blubbing his mouth, and then he had to face Dante Chen. Now, here's an interesting part. Alexis did face Dante Chen when he first debuted. I'm sure Dante hasn't forgotten that match. But you would think Lexis King will get away with this. But this time, Mr. Stone decided to play a little smarter. Decided to get in the face, but not put his hands on him. He allowed for Dante Chen to do that himself when he inside cradled him and picked up the win, which was, of course, a very frustrating thing for Lexis King, but a happy smile for Mr. Stone. And of course, Ava congratulated him on that. So basically, somebody finally put him in his place. So we'll see what happens until then. Now, as last week, what happened to Noam Dar? Trick Williams, as you know, he knows for a fact that he was not the one responsible for Noam Dar's attack. Trick Williams said, hey, I've been in that situation before. We all know what happened. We know that it was Carmelo Hayes that attacked him. But the obvious question, who was it? Now, Ora Mensah and Jakara Jackson believe that he did it. They just tried to tell him to fess up the truth. However, Lash Legend, on the other hand, was saying that, he had nothing to do with it. But, however, we saw Joe Coffey, and he seems that he has an interest on the NXT title. And then, of course, he was attacked by Gallus. Javon Evans tried to help in all this. But I'm saying this, guys. You don't think it's a coincidence that Gallus showed up when Noam Dar was taken out? I think Noam Dar was attacked by Gallus. Now, some of you may question why. Simple. Joe Coffey never held the big one. Remember, he never held the NXT UK title. So I think they attacked Noam Dar because they were standing in his way. I'm sure that this whole North American title thing was not on the radar of Joe Coffey, but I'm sure he probably would like to have that belt one day, but I don't think that was the case. But we'll see what happens next week. Now, in our main event, we have Lola Vice and Shayna Baszler versus Carmen Petrovic and Natalia. Now, the question is, how different is this going to be now? The fact that they're in the tag team competition. Now remember, Lola Vice did defeated Natalia thanks to Shayna Baszler choking, of course, Carmen Petrovic and all this. So, however, I have to say that because Carmen and Natalia had been working well since they first teamed up, they brought back an old move that we haven't seen in a long time. If you guys remember, the heart attack. That's right, the heart attack was back, and it was Carmen who picked up the win onto Lola. However, as soon as the match was over, Lola kicked Shayna Baszler, thinking, "Oh, it's your fault that we lost." And then, of course, Shayna Baszler, who did not like that, decided to choke out Lola, and then the referees and everybody tried to separate them. But Ava Reigns decided, you know what, let's have this match between the two of you in Battleground. But however, Shayna decided, let's make this into NXT Underground. And just like that, this is going to be an insane storyline. So we're going to see what happens until then. But as of right now, we are completely done with all our reviews. So let's move on with news updates. Okay, so welcome to our news updates. So let's begin with updates with the promotions on their upcoming events. The first ones we're going to do is, of course, GCW All in One Lump Sum. Now, as you know, we have the Cage of Survival on June 2nd in Atlantic City. It was announced that Mega Bane will be participating in that event. And then, of course, later on in the month of June for the two back-to-back Texas shows, the first one, No Sleep in Houston, on the 28th of June, it was announced Jordan Oliver will be in action to take on the master of the Tornado DDT, Fuego del Sol. And then, of course, the following day in Dallas at Crime Wave, Ninja Mac will be making his appearance as well. And then, of course, next month after the 4th of July, on July 5th, in Toronto for Worst Behavior, it was announced that Gabe Kidd's going to be there. Yeah, he's going to cause a problem. Hope someone just put him out of his misery. But anyway, yes. Now, the most interesting thing developed coming from GCW. As you know, we have seen from time to time former WWE talent that were released making an appearance. Well, this one you probably would like. Sidney Akeem, who you guys know him better as Reggie or Scripps, will be making his GCW debut. Now, it's already been decided that he will participate in three of their shows in June and in July. Now, he will appear in Hit 'Em Up on the 15th of June in LA, then Crime Wave on June 29th in Dallas, and then So High on the 19th of July in St. Louis. So I'm sure many of you are looking forward to that, so we'll see where that goes. Now, Stardom reported recently for Aya Sakura will be participating with Yoshi Promotion Diana on the 24th of May. Her opponent will be none other than Nanami. So that's going to be interesting development for Sakura. Now, it was later reported that MARIGOLD has announced two of their upcoming shows this weekend. The first one for Saturday will be in Shinkiba First Ring. This is the matches that they announced. We have Victoria Yuzuki and Natsumi Shozuki. They will be taking on Utami Hayashida, Koiki Amari. And then, of course, we have a three-way match. We have Mai Sakurai, Misa Matsui, and Mila Grace. Then we have Mirai and Chiaki, who have faced each other in the debut show. They team up this time. They will face off against Nagiza Nozaki and Bozilla. Ooh, that's going to be a good one. Then we have Nana Takahashi versus Nao Ishikawa. And then we got Miko Onoi versus Zeta Steel. And then the following day, on the Sunday, we have, of course, what the hell? Well, I got the wrong Sunday one. So I'll redo that one, hopefully, in the next upcoming news update by itself. So I'll fix that one. So got the wrong one on this one. So anyway, let's keep moving forward on our news updates with the promotions. Now, it was announced that in Tokyo Pro Wrestling that will have their upcoming show on the 9th of June in Korakuen Hall. Saki will be participating in that show. If you guys know Saki, she is the de facto leader of Colors. If you guys remember or not, Saki originally was booked in Tokyo Pro Wrestling for their show in Philly. However, her tag partner was none other than Naoko Kuda. Now, they were originally supposed to team up from that event. Naoko Kuda had to be pulled out because of poor health condition. So now they're making up for that match. Now, we don't know who's going to be their opponents, but it's great to hear that they want to redo this match. I'm sure Naoko Kuda wanted to team up with Saki because, as you know, Naoko Kuda is now on the road to retirement. And then finally, we have the West Coast Pro with collaborating with Oasis Pro for the Dennis Richmond Invitational on the 29th of June. They just announced their 5th entrance, Rancho Camacho. So yes, that will be pretty much it. What's going to happen for that? Now we're done with our with updates with the promotions. Let's begin with, of course, developments with the promotion. Now, Rossy Ogawa, as you know, MARIGOLD will have their next show in July for the of course Summer Dynasty. However, they just announced that he's going to have the show in Ryogoku at Ryogoku Kokugikan. However, they asked why that he is doing the show there, and this is what he had to say. I happened to hear that it was vacant after other places had stopped using it. I felt it was fate that I had no choice but to do it. MARIGOLD is a promotion that does in 1 year previously took other promotions 3 years to do so. The chances of success, I want to carry on with momentum of our inaugural show. So basically, it was more like he saw an opening and he took it. So try to build up the momentum as much as possible. So I makes understandable. As you know, the Von Erichs has been teasing about signing with a major promotion, and this is what they had to say in their podcast. Right now, we have been polished and ready to go wrestle anywhere. We've been in conversation with both companies and stuff. I'm going to presume it's either AEW or WWE. So we're seeing where it goes, but it feels like the calm before the storm because I got a feeling it's coming soon. Now, I did ask some friends this question. Who do you think they will sign with? I have one friend who claims that they probably will end up going to AEW. I mean, it is a possibility, but we'll see. Now, as you may have heard, AEW All In will happen. Their show was moved up from September 1st all the way to September 2nd. Now, the reason is this is because our people are kind of comparing that their show All In, All Out will be in fact coinciding with All In. So that's the main reason. Wrestling Observer reports that Tay Melo is in training to make her AEW in-ring return. As you know, we haven't seen her when she got pregnant with their daughter Luna, and now she's on the verge of making her return. So can't wait to see where that leads us here, but we're yet to hear about Sammy returning too, since he's no longer suspended. But we'll see what that leads us from here. Now, it appears that Gabe Kidd took a shot out of the IWGP World Heavyweight Champion, Jon Moxley. This is what he had to say. If you're going to be the IWGP Champion, you stay in Japan. That's how it always been. You talk about respect for this company, and that title will come here for a month. You can't. Oh, you can't. You have family at home. You have commitments in America. That's a shame. I don't give an F. You are the champion. You have responsibility. The great power comes with great responsibility. Effing deal with it. You know, Gabe Kidd sounds just like Jake Lee, criticizing. But I'm sure Jon Mox is not going to take that kindly from him. He's going to tell him that he can do whatever he wants, however he wants it. No one has a right to stop him. But Gabe Kidd thinks he can take him out. Well, we'll see, because I'm sure Moxley is not happy how things went down with Eddie Kingston with him, but we'll see. Now, as you know, there was that moment where Drew McIntyre, he could have left the promotion, left WWE, but there was people that questioned would there was any consideration of him moving to a different promotion with a lighter schedule and to spend more time with his family. Well, this is what he had to say. It was never a consideration not wrestling with WWE. I don't think, or am I going to wrestle somewhere else? It was this time where I want to wrestle, but I don't want to be anywhere else. But our family has gone through a lot this year. Aside to with my own family, my wife's sister unfortunately passed away a year ago yesterday, and that it was very difficult. I felt I was going to have to take some serious time for my family. There was a period where I was like, maybe I'll take a little break and come back, and just uncertainly, but thank you for as the family we came together. W gave me the time I needed, whenever I needed to that period. In the end, my family, we came together. We had conversation for what's best for us. The company were unbelievable with thankful, um, everybody in its great place right now. So basically, he was not, as you know, he's been dealing with a lot, but he decided to stay. Now, Rossy Ogawa talked about Julia's injury. This is what he had to say. Um, Injuries are unavoidable. I hope that she recovers slowly. In pro wrestling, when someone is in a pinch, someone else comes forward. I want other wrestlers to think of it as a positive and think their chances has come. So basically, as you know, Julia had to be pulled out of the Hana Kimura Memorial Show due to the injury, and Utami Aishida will be in her place. So that's going to be a very interesting thing. So it's more like saying, if someone is out due to an injury, someone will gladly take this opportunity. So he wants to treat it as a positive thing for wrestlers who, of course, would never think they'll have an opportunity. But that's how it goes. So I think that's pretty much it for all of our updates. So I think it's time to call it a day. Well, I hope everybody enjoys this episode. Coming up, we have AEW Dynamite, and of course, we continue with more of Best of the Super Juniors by New Japan Pro Wrestling. Apparently, some things have been changed on the card due to Francesco Akira being injured. It will miss out this event, so we'll see how that rolls up. But at the moment, that's the plan. And if there's any other reviews that I'll be doing, we'll see, because of course Wednesday, it's my mother's birthday, and I may take some time to lighten the review decision what I want to do, but we'll see how it rolls. But New Japan and AEW are the top priority at this point, but we'll see how things will roll up. But as of right now, I'll leave things like that. So at the moment, I will see you guys in the next DWZ time, same DWZ channel. I must bid all of you adieu. So, goodbye. And have a nice day. Bang.